My dear students of class 10A and 10B, welcome to my history class. Today's teaching lesson number 6. I have decided to teach you only because of the following reason. You know, during few days back, I realized to learn about some students' concept that some of them they could not understand the basic concept of that lesson, and I also assured them that after having completed the lesson Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and the INA, I shall re-explain lesson number 6 for their better understanding, better practical knowledge. That's why the same lesson I am going to re-explain, my dear students. You please listen to me, because this year this lesson is very important for you. Now, Mahatma Gandhi and the national movement, the non-cooperation movement. Why did Gandhiji start the non-cooperation movement? There were certain factors behind it. The first and foremost, Khilafat movement. Second one, Rowlatt Act. Third one, Jolyon Vallabha incident. Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement. Before Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement, what did he do? Gandhiji, on reaching India from South Africa, he organized three satyagrahas. The first one, Champaran Satyagraha. The second one, Ahmedabad Satyagraha. And the third one, Kheda Satyagraha. Champaran Satyagraha, what happened to Champaran? Champaran was a district of Bihar. The people of Champaran district, they were forced to cultivate only indigo in the interest of the British traders. The British businessmen came to India and started forcing Indian peasants and farmers to cultivate only indigo than other crops. The other crops like rice, wheat, maize, they wanted to cultivate. They were fond of cultivating, but they were forced to cultivate only indigo because in England the Indian indigo had huge demand. So in order to get themselves benefited financially, the British masters came to India with their hunters and started humiliation over the people of India in the interest of themselves. But the people of Champaran district, they requested Gandhiji, they make a call for Gandhiji, and Gandhiji strongly supported their stand and forbade the British masters, forbade the British traders from pressurizing the peasants and farmers of Champaran district for cultivating indigo. Ultimately, they changed their decision and they brought some changes in the entire system. And ultimately, it was a great victory of Gandhiji by adopting the policy of Champaran Satyagraha. Gandhiji succeeded. And second one, Gandhiji's second Satyagraha is Ahmedabad Satyagraha. The mill workers of Ahmedabad raised the demand for increasing their wages, but the mill owners did not want to increase their wages. But Gandhiji, they once again made a call for Gandhiji. Gandhiji strongly supported the stance of the mill workers of Ahmedabad and talked to the mill owners. Mill owners did not want to increase or did not want to give a rise in their wages. But ultimately, Gandhiji decided to keep on struggling against against the mill owners of Ahmedabad. And ultimately, the mill owners, the mill owners came to a conclusion that there should have been taken initiative since Gandhiji was involved in it. That's why they ultimately made a call for Gandhiji, talked to him, and decided to increase some amount of wages of the mill workers. So it was the second victory of Gandhiji from Ahmedabad Satyagraha. And third one, Kheda Satyagraha. Gandhiji started Kheda Satyagraha. Why? Because Kheda was a place in the same year 1918 faced a very severe famine, but the peasants and farmers were forced to pay the revenue The revenue they did not want to pay, they were not in a position to pay such amount of revenues the government of Britain increased for them. But ultimately Gandhi strongly supported the stance of the peasants and farmers of Kheda, and ultimately the Kheda movement, the Kheda Satyagraha, from Kheda Satyagraha, Gandhiji once again achieved success, and ultimately from three Satyagrahas, from the Champaran Satyagraha, from Ahmedabad Satyagraha, and from Kheda Satyagraha, Gandhiji achieved success, and finally Gandhiji gained confidence of the people of India, that the people of India, they all remain with him, and ultimately Gandhiji started a long-lasting movement against the British government. Ultimately Gandhiji's non-cooperation movement started in protest against the Jolyon Vallabha incidents, in protest against the Rawlat Act, and in protest against the Khilafat movement. Khilafat movement was a movement organized by two Ali brothers, Maulana Muhammad Ali and Maulana Shaukat Ali. They did it with an aim of protesting their Khalifa or religious leader. In the First World War, Turkey had been defeated. In the First World War, Turkey strongly supported the stance of the Axis power, but after the defeat of Axis power, Turkey was humiliated at the hands of England. So the British, but their religious head was their Khalifa, the humiliation of Turkey means the humiliation of their religious head Khalifa. That's why the people of the whole world, the Muslims of the whole world, felt insulted for their religious head or Khalifa. And from our country, India, two Ali brothers, Maulana Muhammad Ali and Maulana Shaukat Ali, started the Khilafat movement. And then Khilafat movement started. Gandhiji realized that it was a golden opportunity for him to have help, and ultimately he strongly supported the issue of Khilafat in order to bring the Muslims under one umbrella. So both the two wings of the Congress, both the two communities, the Hindus and the Muslims, their relationship also was strengthened only because of Gandhiji's policy of supporting the Khilafat issue. And second one, the Rawlat Act, it was an act of the British passed by the Justice Rawlat. Now why was it passed? It was passed in order to arrest the revolutionaries of India, the leaders of India who were revolutionaries. They all, in order to arrest all the revolutionaries of India, Justice Rawlat passed one act. That act is known as Rawlat Act. Under the system of Rawlat Act, there was a system that the British could arrest any person without trial and conviction in a court of law. That's why so many innocent people of India also were being arrested. That's why Gandhiji, in protest against the system, he declared it Black Act. There was demonstration. There were protests everywhere against the Rawlat Act. And ultimately, another incident, Jolyon Vallabha tragedy took place. Jolyon Vallabha was a park. Two Congress leaders were arrested, Dr. Saifuddin and Dr. Satyapal. Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu and Dr. Satyapal were arrested. Who were arrested? They were the Punjabi leaders of the Congress committee. In protest against the arrest of the two Congress leaders, a meeting was held at Jolyon Vallabha, a park near, Punjab, Amritsar, and ultimately the General Dyer, the military commander of that place, forbade the people of Jolyon Vallabha from attending the meeting, but they all attended the meeting because both of the two leaders were very much popular. And that's why, including women, men, old-aged women, children, they all came and attended the Jolyon Vallabha meeting. General Dyer grew offended and decided to teach them a good lesson. How? He ordered his men to arrest, to open fire at the unarmed gathering, and so many people died, and rest of them wounded. But that incident touched the heart of the Indian people, because the people of India, they felt insulted. Gandhiji felt insulted. Rabindranath Tagore refused to accept his knighthood award. He gave up it, and other important distinguished people of India, educated people of India, protested against that injustice done to the Indians, and ultimately Gandhiji decided to start a movement in protest against the Khilafat movement, in support of Khilafat movement, in protest against Rawla attack, passing up Rawla attack, in protest against that incident took place at Jolyon, Vallabha. Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement, my dear student. Now, is it clear to you? If I ask you a question in your live class, you have to answer me. Why did Gandhiji start the non-cooperation movement? You have to answer me. There are three factors. Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement. Number one, Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement because of the Khilafat issue. In order to support the Khilafat issue, Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement. First factor. Second factor, in protest against the Jallianwala incident, in protest against the passing of Rawla attack, Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement. Now, what is a Chauri Chaura incident? What is Chauri Chaura incident? Chauri Chaura was a place Chauri Chaura was a place at Gorakhpur district in Bihar, in Uttar Pradesh, Gorakhpur. Chauri Chaura was a place in Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh where furious mob attacked the police station during midnight and killed 22 policemen, 22 police workers. They set fire the police station, and ultimately 20 policemen who were working there, they all were killed. That incident took place at Chauri Chaura, a village near Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh. But when the news reached Gandhiji, Gandhiji felt very much upset because his movement was based on non-violent method of satyagraha. But whenever the movement had become violent, Gandhiji realized he decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement. So why did Gandhiji withdraw the non-cooperation movement? Gandhiji withdrew the non-cooperation movement in order to that incident of Chauri Chaura. In order to the incident, Chauri Chaura took place at Chauri Chaura, a village of Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh. So Gandhiji felt very much upset. But when the decision of withdrawing the non-cooperation movement was taken by Gandhiji, all the Congress leaders remained in the jail. They all were imprisoned. Mahatma Gandhi was strongly criticized by the Congress leaders for taking that decision of withdrawing the non-cooperation movement. And Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose quoted, when the movement was on its climax, Gandhiji withdrew it. When the movement was on its climax, the movement should not have been suspended, but Gandhiji did it. And other Congress leaders, they also criticized the decision of Gandhiji, but Gandhiji was strongly confirmed and strongly confirmed that strongly made it confirm that the decision he took would be final. He would withdraw the non-cooperation movement because the movement had become violent. Ultimately, the movement was withdrawn. But afterwards, after a few days or few months, after a few years later, means in the year 1930, Gandhiji suddenly noticed that the British suddenly increased taxes. They increased salt taxes, but salt was an item used by the common people, especially poor one. But whenever the British government increased salt tax, Gandhiji requested them not to increase it, since it was used by the common people of our country, the common people, the poor people. But the British did not want to hear Gandhiji, and ultimately Gandhiji decided to start another movement, the civil disobedience movement, my dear students. The civil disobedience movement started with the famous Dandi March. Dandi was a place near Gujarat seashore. Gandhiji left the Sabarmati ashram for Dundee with many of his followers on foot, and reached Dundee on foot, and ultimately on reaching Dundee, Gandhiji, by using the seawater, he produced salt from there and broke the British rule. Now, what was about the British rule of salt? Salt rule of the British. As per the salt rule of the British, none but only the Britishers would be able to produce salt from the seawater. But Gandhiji broke the salt law, the system of salt law implemented by the British. By breaking the salt law, Gandhiji and his followers as Indians, they produced salt from the seawater, and ultimately were waiting for being arrested by the British police. But British, they were very clever enough. They did not reach there to arrest Gandhiji and his followers. They did not want to give it importance, since common people of India were with him. And by that way, Gandhiji started the civil disobedience movement. That means we should break the laws of the country framed by the British, but at the same time we should conduct protest peacefully, and we would be arrested by them. But we would not lose hope. We would not lose hope, but keep on fighting, struggling against the British peacefully. This is known as, my dear students, this is known as the civil disobedience movement. And afterwards, another incident took place, that was, the Simon Commission. The Simon Commission came to India with a view to break the deadlock with the Congress leaders. Simon Commission came with all British members, but no Indian member was included in the commission. It was a very insult of the Indian people, especially those who were highly qualified, educated. There was none to be included in the Simon Commission from our country, India. That's why whenever Simon Commission reached India, they moved here and there. They reached Bombay. There was a slogan for Simon, Simon go back, Simon go back, Simon go back. There was a festoon raised, Simon go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. And ultimately, the people of India, they grew offended against that system. They say against the act of discrimination. There was none. No Indian was included in the commission, but all British members. That's why Simon Commission was greeted with black flags and demonstrations. The people of India, they did not cooperate with the commission. John Simon, who was the head of the commission, was forced to talk to Indian leaders, but Indian leaders did not want to talk to him. But ultimately, Simon left back home empty-handed. But in the meantime, when Simon Commission was moving here and there in order to convince Indian people with persuasive arguments, one eminent leader of the Congress, Lala Lajpat Rai, while organizing a meeting at Lahore railway platform, was severely wounded by the British police, and when he was hospitalized, during leaving his last breath, he quoted one line: his death would bring the last nail set in the coffin of the British Empire. Ultimately, what he forecasted came to be true. The British had to shift power for the Indians, and India became a free country. Up to this, my dear students. And before that, I would like to make it sure whether you have understood. If you have any confusion regarding the understanding of the subject matter of that lesson, you let me know by using comment box. I shall try to help you. Thank you, my dear students.